All right, folks, welcome to Nino's Corner.tv. I'm going to try to make this fitting for FluffTube. I am joined with Rob Cunningham. Glad to have you back, Rob. I know, listen, I purge a lot of videos. I even purged some of yours, Ron. I'm with Ron Partain as well. Ron Partain and Rob Cunningham. This is going to be a great roundtable. We're going to be talking about the greatest wealth transfer in human history, which is about to occur. It's starting now, folks. And one way you can prepare for this, is Noble Gold, folks. Get your Noble Gold. Are you new to investing and have savings you need to protect right now with the Middle East war and Ukraine war and maybe Taiwan soon? You're going to need gold and silver. You need a new playbook that's safe. Allocate some gold now and avoid the frenzied panic of the unprepared, which we're going to be talking about all that today. When fear reigns, gold protects the wise. Noble Gold Investments offers a free 5-ounce America the Beautiful coin with new IRAs this month. Shield your savings with a Noble Gold Investments IRA. Hit the link below, folks. Get started on gold. And I thought, how fitting, right, Rob? We were just talking about this before we went live, and I had to do a gold run here, a gold commercial. So, man, good to see you guys on. And I know this is going to be a feel-good type of episode. Ron, it's always great to have you on. You're a wealth of knowledge. Rob, you're a wealth of knowledge as well. Guys, I'm sorry I purged a lot of videos. I had to do it. I do that every couple of months for my YouTube channel.
We know.
So let's be careful here, please.
Yeah, we don't take it personal. I just find it but just kind of talking about gold. You can't take it with you, and gold is the asphalt in heaven. So,
Well, you got to tell the joke now. You can't just say that. He told the joke before we started. Why don't you tell the joke?
Basically, the joke is this the guy gets one wish to take anything that he wants from Earth to into heaven with him, and he puts a suitcase full of gold bricks, and he takes it up and gets to the pearly gates, and everybody starts to congregate around. It's like, what's this guy? He's got a suitcase full of asphalt. What the heck? Because the streets in heaven are lined with gold. So
there you go.
There you go. It's
a good joke. It's a good joke. But Rob, let's. I guess I see you're wearing an XRP hat, and I know you guys are big on XRP. I mean, I'm look. What I'm doing for all this is number one, staying true to my faith in God. Number one, God and family, and then I am investing in gold and silver. I have some XRP. I think I'm doing what I can. I think this whatever is going to be coming is going to hit pretty hard, and I think it's coming pretty soon, and I think we're all going to take a big bite of this shit sandwich.
Well, Nino, thank you for having us, brother. First of all, to every one of my fellow veterans and active duty folks out there, Ron, yourself included, and Nino, I consider you an active duty man. You're in the war. You're in a different kind of war. It's a spiritual war. It's an economic war. It's a cultural war. It's a banking war. It's a biological war. Every kind of war that we should be fighting, we're fighting right now. And every human that's watching this video can be enlisted in this army, right? Navy or Air Force or Marine Corps or Blog Corps or Neighborhood Corps or whatever you want to call it. But the point is, we're enslaved only by our lack of knowledge. Okay. And what has gotten us to this stage right now, on the precipice of the greatest transfer of wealth in human history, culture and society and programming has made us think that wealth means just zeros on a bank account. How much gold am I going to get? How much silver? What's XRP going to go to? What's going to happen to the stock market? Is my debt going to get canceled? And we think of it in simple, pure, materialistic 3D human, money terms. What about if our identity and who we really truly are, whose we are and who we are has been stolen from us, and we get that wealth back? What does that level of wealth do to our society and our world if we get out of the clutches of fiat debt, money, slavery, taxation, regulation, fiat governments, fiat corporations, fiat rules, and we get back to self-governing with a one-to-one Wi-Fi connection to God, our creator? What kind of wealth does that create? That's the war we ought to be fighting, to wake people up that this greatest transfer of wealth is so much more than money or the price of XRP.
So you're saying we're going to a system of thriving, not a system of surviving, not a system of, we're in right now a system of scarcity that is run by the bankers, that we are slavery in this bondage and debt, always having to compete against our fellow man instead of loving our fellow man. We're always competing and trying to outdo them. I mean, that's really what it's come down. We are in a system of scarcity and survival.
That's the lie.
Exactly.
That's the lie. The father of lies comes to divide, deceive, and destroy. Divide us as people, deceive us into what's rich and healthiness and what brings us joy and happiness and fulfillment, deceive us into what our purpose is, and then destroy our relationship and our understanding with the intelligent designer, the creator, the father, the intelligent designer of this earth. If they can keep us in a perpetual state of confusion, guess what happens? They own 99% of everything, and we fight over the 1%.
Correct.
Yeah.
But from what I understand, sorry, Ron, what I understand that's coming is it's some very difficult times. I had a long conversation with 𝗵𝗲𝗍𝗶𝗹 yesterday. And basically he kind of briefed me on some things, telling me that, you know, this isn't a bad hair day for America. This is a near-death experience that's coming. It's going to be really ugly. And a lot of things are going to happen at once. So I as much as I want to play the harp of good news, I gotta also tell the audience that what's coming is going to be a lot of confusion, a lot of frustration, a lot of hard times, a lot of crime. You know, a lot of this is going to happen right at the same time. You know, this is going to be when they pull the plug, a lot of crime, a lot of violent crime. We stand to lose a lot of cities. We're hoping it's just narrowed down to those 13 to 14 cities, but could be more. So I think America is going to have a huge task in front of it coming up soon. And I think, yeah, after that, after the boomerang, things start to turn around. But what's initially coming is going to be very hard for Americans.
And Ron, let me just answer this very quickly. I'm going to turn it back over to you. But David, to the point, I'm not disagreeing. I am not here to say it's all cotton candy and lollipops. Okay?
Amen.
But I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is that very difficult times and challenges don't cause bad things to happen. It reveals our character. Okay, so they're going to use fear. Everything that the media tells us is bad for them, not us. They're going to tell us it's bad for us, but they're desperately trying to retain control of their power, their authority, their fiat system, their laws, their courts, their regulations, their media empires, the BlackRock Vanguard empires to which they can just twist the knobs and control planet Earth. And by God, if they can't keep that system in place with money they can print out their rear end, with infinite numbers of zeros and no accountability and no transparency, by God, if they can't have it, I have no doubt they might cities
and that's why this great reset is so desirable by them. And actually both sides.
We want the Great Awakening. We need the Great Awakening to who we are. They want a reset to keep.
But that's going to happen simultaneously. It's either the Great Reset or the Great Reset. You know, right? I mean, Great Reset or Great Reset, right?
So who wins, God or evil?
God always wins.
All right, amen.
But God always wins.
That's the good news.
With you on that, I'm just saying, but there's going to be a test, and some of us have to rise to this test. I'm all about tests. These are
the tests that matter, baby. Let's see the gun show. You know?
Telling you.
Ron,
go ahead, Ron. Sorry to so rudely interrupt, Ron.
Well, no, it's all good. The point that I want to make is that in the crypto community, a lot of the people in the crypto community, they focus on the monetary value of digital assets in terms of what's coming, and I know that there is definitely an element of that, but the digital asset aspect of the blockchain is so much more than than a dollar amount. It's transparency. It's trustless. It's removing a third party that we have to use for trust. It is it's actually giving us our liberty back, because now we don't need a third party to come in and be an intermediary for us. And as a result of having that, what we get is so much more than money. We get a system of abundance. We get a system of without corruption. We get a system that's transparent. We get a system where where you don't have to worry about where on certain days of the year where people go and they put something into a box and then they get counted, and then that happens to be something that the results don't match what actually the people say that they want, right? So if blockchain slices all the way through all of that stuff, it goes and it makes it makes an honest supply chain. It makes an honest everything, because it holds people accountable. Because in a supply chain, if you've got like 5 or 6 different stops along the way, and then something gets broken, well, if you put a blockchain a fixation on it, if it's got like 5 stops along the way, and you see that the corruption or the something where it broke or whatever happened on the 3rd line of the trip, well, now you know where to go find it. Whereas right now the entire chain gets blamed, whereas the blockchain offers the ability for you to isolate where the problem is. So my point is that blockchain is so much more than just a monetary value. It is something that is going to bring transparency, clarity, honesty, and it's going to bring human abundance on the likes that which we can't fathom. But if I may address this, I don't mean to go too long. If I may address the point about going where we're going to be struggling and having this big, huge problem. The biggest problem that we are going to face is getting off of, basically it's the weaning process, right? When we're babies, we have to wean off of our mother's breast, right? We have to wean off our mother's breast. Well, we're young and we don't understand what that's like. But when we're old and when we're and when we are on the government's tit, okay, there's a whole host of people that are on the government's tit right now.
Yeah.
We're relying on the government's tit for survival. Well, and we're told that there's not much out there because the government has everything. That is going to be the hardest thing. It's the unknown of taking that leap of faith. And I used this example yesterday when Rob and I had a good long talk yesterday. It's in the movie Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, when he has to cross that cavern and he has to take that leap of faith, and there's that invisible bar, that invisible bridge that you can't tell that's there. You have to take the leap of faith. And that's where we as a people, we have to take that leap of faith in order to get through to the other side. And that leap of faith is going to be ugly because we don't know what it's going to be. And the unknown is what is terrifying.
Well, let me just tweak one word, Ron. It may not be ugly. It's just going to require courage. It's going to require the armor of God. The reason we need armor of God is because 365 times the master rabbi teacher told us, fear not, or not just him, but throughout the Bible, there's no other single greater 2 words ever in the law book than fear not. Why should we fear not, and why should we have an armor unless they knew that fear was the bullets that were going to be shown our way? Fear, the idea, the lies, the myths, the deception, the destruction, the hate, these godless creatures that don't give 2 craps about your life or my family or my community. Doesn't matter what they say. They don't have a red line they won't cross, period. We are chattel to them. We are assets of their corporation called Earth Inc. That's
useless grazers, as Kissinger says.
Correct. And here's the greatest thing in the world. is when we connect to our courage and we connect to our identity and we realize that there is an omnipotence, there is an omniscience, there is an omnipresent, that we aren't victims. No one's a victim. We were born and created by the same entity that created the ecosystem of this world, joy and babies and dogs and puppies and family and culture and love and laughter and joy. The lie is that we're broken. We need intermediaries. We need a doctor. We need a teacher. We need churches with 48 layers in them before we can actually get to God. We're from the government. We're here to help. You can't function unless you're on our tit. And if you don't do exactly what we tell you to do, we're going to take the milk away. Fear, 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 fear. Bullshit. So it's all BS.
So what I see happening here is the old system is crumbling. It's falling. Right. We all can see that happening before our very eyes. All structures. I mean, even from Hollywood, Hollywood's coming down. I mean, and then I guess what we're witnessing right now are banks. Banks are coming down. So as the old system falls, I mean, I guess we could say the old guard has to fall too, which is banks. So banks must go, right? Is that what we're going to see? And that's what's going to be so hard for people?
Why should we go and worship at the temple of Chase Manhattan or the monastery of Bank of America and ask for permission to get some benefits and privileges of this fiat paper that this private corporation prints, and Bank of America will let us use it on their terms and the IRS conditions, unless, of course, they need to bail it in, and then that money's not yours anymore. They're going to bail it in. They're going to hold on to it.
Correct.
Okay. It's not money, Nino. That's the lie. The stuff that we've been holding and operating with our whole life, it's a debt instrument. It's an IOU to a private corporation, and we're attached to that IOU. It's not assets. It's not money. They call it the dollar, but it's really the Federal Reserve note. It's a fake instrument. It's not money. It's not backed by gold. It's backed by whatever fanciful idea Nancy Pelosi or Mitch McConnell might have in their head. Hit the print button, interject 5 trillion new dollars. They're slave chains. They are slave chains.
So what we're about to see, we're going to obviously see them kick the can down the road a little further in the House, right? I mean, is that what we're going to see?
They're going to try, but look, the budget ends on the 17th, right? This coming Friday, they did a 45-day extension on the budget because they couldn't get one because the end of the fiscal year was September 30th, right? The new year, on the government standpoint, the fiscal year began October 1st. They're operating on a 45-day extension, which ends this Friday.
So what do you see? What do you all see happening here? Like, how do you see this going down?
At a certain point in time, a switch has got to be flipped. At a certain point in time, we've got to take that leap of faith. We got to jump over to back to the new world, back to that pre-1871 constitutional republic. At some point in time, if we're operating as a corporation and we want to go back to being a republic, you're going to have to pull the damn cord out of the wall.
Rip the Band-Aid off.
You have to rip the Band-Aid at some point.
So what do you tell the people that are scared to take their money out of the bank? They have their money in the bank right now. Is that just going to evaporate when this happens? I mean, is everyone just going to lose their money?
Fear not. Everything's mapped. Everything's traced. We've got a space force. We have it all. Trump has said it forever. We have it all. These people are sick. We're leveling the playing field. The first video I ever did with you, those were the 3 executive orders. Level the playing field. That's justice, culturally, academically, monetarily, everything. Level the playing field, okay? Secondly, we caught them all. We've got all the data. We got Cheyenne Mountain. We got Space Force. We've got, the first military. We got it all, okay? And these people are sick. So we can't not expect they're not going to try a last gasp effort to kill, deceive, divide, destroy, bomb, do whatever they can. But we've also been told the next time that there might be a command or an issue to stay home, I would recommend everybody stay their ass home, because if we're told to stay home and the good guys tell us that and we don't, it might not work. It might not end up real well for us. There may be one last cleanup effort that's necessary. to get rid of these the BLMs and the George Soros finance ne'er-do-wells and get them off the street. So if they do try to come out to 16 cities and rain hell,
Rob, I think the question that Nino's asking though is, well, what about the people who are holding on to their Federal Reserve notes in the banking system? What is going to happen to those? And I think that there is a real possibility that if people are terrified or they're paralyzed and not able to take that leap of faith and go get some physical silver and gold, or go get some some digital assets, that that is going to be, in terms of transfer of wealth from a monetary standpoint, I believe that we're going to see a vast adoption and transfer of dollars into assets that are not of the dollar, or they're not of the Federal Reserve note, or as Cliff High calls the fern, right? So in my opinion, I think people need to be, at the very minimum, they need to take a portion of assets that they have in their bank that are in Federal Reserve notes, and they need to make sure that they are not in Federal Reserve notes, because those Federal Reserve notes could be used as a bail-in to keep to try to make the banks whole, because they've already said that they're not going to do a bailout again. They're going to do a bail-in, and that's the people's money. And we're going to see a collapse of the pension system. We're going to see a collapse of a lot of different things that are going to cause people to be in a system of it's going to be ugly, kind of what we talked about. Yeah.
But guys, just think about this. If you were an architect, if you were a Donald Trump and you built skyscrapers in New York City, and you knew that you were going to implode a building and knock it down in order to make room for a new building, do you think you wouldn't already have all the plans and specs and everything that you're going to do for the new building? You're going to get rid of the old one first. There's a plan for a new one that's going up, that's being built all around us for 10 years. They're not just going to blow everything up and we're going to be sitting around and go, where'd he go? What are we going to do now? Let's assume that,
because we've ultimately lost if that happens.
We've lost at that point. We're not going to be on a level playing field with think that they're going to honor contracts and we're going to all sing Kumbaya and put our arms together and rebuild everything together. We have to eliminate these godless, nefarious actors. We got to give them.
And what's better than to let them do it themselves?
Right. And I know we don't have a whole lot of time left, but
never interrupt an enemy when they're busy destroying themselves.
That's right.
Absolutely correct.
Never get in the way.
What have we been told for 5 or 6 years? Sometimes you can't tell the people, you have to show them. We have to experience this. If we tried to explain this narrative of what we've learned in the last 3 years ago, they've carted us all off on a damn gurney. They put us in a white jacket and they cart us all off, and they're still doing it today. A lot less, but a lot of people still think that we've lost our friggin' marbles. Okay, everything we're talking about they haven't seen it on CNN, and they haven't read the newspaper, or it's not. Their mayor doesn't, or their preacher doesn't talk about it. It's not real. It's not happening.
Right.
That's baloney. I want to drive this point home, Nina, and why I have such a unbelievable faith that a new system is going to require a trustless, interoperable, free access to every person on earth, humankind. Look, the creator creates everything, whether it's heat, water, fire, gravity, electricity, it doesn't matter. Humans only discover things that are laws, that are principles, that are in this world. We can discover them, like Nikola Tesla. But Nikola Tesla didn't create crap. He just discovered it, right? He discovered
what was already there. Yeah, he didn't create anything, correct. And it's all free.
If we have a blockchain and we have an XRP that allows, through math and through laws and through physics and through the advanced physics, quantum physics and technology, photonics and electronics and digital assets, that allow us to communicate human to human, person to person, point to point, company to company, nation to nation, and transfer value with no intermediaries in between, no fat fingers, nobody stealing stuff, controlling stuff, profiting off of wars. There's no private ownership of a corporation or a nation that allows a dollar to go to a German mark and then go to a peso and then go to a Canadian dollar and then back to it. If I can put my car title, my medical records, my annuities from my Nino TV show on a digital token, and then I can transport it and transfer the rights of ownership or benefits to that across a blockchain, it frees up all of the friction, the fat, the theft, the lying, the hoarding, the scarcity, the ability to blackmail people and run how many NGOs? Think about this. How many NGOs from the United Nations, the World Health Organization, the World Bank, to the World Economic Forum are running our world, and we don't have any say-so. We can't vote them in. We can't vote them out. Taxation without representation. This world's being run by 1,000 NGOs, and we can't do crap about it.
Let me use an explanation that I think the audience will understand. Okay, there's a great video out there called the American, I think it's the American Experience. It was done by the 𝗀𝗵𝗏𝗀 Society, and it was done in the 80s, and it talks about the different types of government. And it's basically what it says is if you have anarchy, you have no freedom whatsoever. You think you're free because you have anarchy, but in an anarchy situation, basically there's no law, and there's no if you leave your property, then somebody can come and take your property, or somebody can come and they can overpower you because they have more numbers, right? But if you have the law, if you have a sheriff that says, no, this piece of property belongs to this gentleman right here, and you have somebody who's willing to, somebody who's able to enforce that, that's when you have true freedom. So when you have limited government, a limited government is what gives people the most amount of freedom. And what the blockchain is going to do is the blockchain is that sheriff that will adjudicate ownership for everything out there. It will be totally transparent for the world to see. You may not actually know, you may have to dig in to find an associated name, but you will have a record of it that is visible to the entire planet in terms of that particular thing is owned, right? So the blockchain is going to free up people from being chained to having from being chained in a system of scarcity, from being chained to a system of where they feel like they can't leave their house, because if they leave their house, then somebody's going to come and squat in it, and then they're going to just assume ownership of it, right? So blockchain is so much more than just money. However, that said, in terms of monetary value, in terms of building riches, $ value, right, or whatever value the currency that you're operating in the country that you're in, you can own, you can buy a piece of the infrastructure that is coming. And when you buy into that infrastructure now, you are going to generate a monetary value that you can have for in the future that will be exponentially, that would be worth more from a dollar perspective, exponentially more than what it's worth today. And so when we talk about greatest transfer of wealth, we're talking about two different things. We are talking about greatest transfer of wealth in terms of health, wealth, knowledge, wisdom, money, liberty, but we're also talking about the greatest transfer of riches, and the greatest transfer of riches also is incorporated in that. So
isn't that biblical, Nino? In every empire and every civilization in the world, if we want to go find the richest and most powerful civilizations that ever existed, you better bring a shovel, because that's the only place you're going to find it. There's always the wicked that will hoard the riches, but the lawgiver redistributes those riches to the righteous, those that try to adhere to his law, that honor human principles of life and liberty and pursuit of happiness, the unalienable rights, when these wicked hoard everything and treat us like property and kill us and divide us and deceive us and do the things that they do to us, it's like building a house on sand. That
Exactly.
always collapses. If you don't build our homes, our communities, our families, and our faith on rock and concrete, we're destined to collapse. This is law. We're not special. We're not immune from every other civilization in the world that has fallen straight into the ground because it was built on crap and lies. And we're going to get, this is the reset that we're looking at. And we ought to all be embracing it and saying, hallelujah, David is.
But do you think
we're about to take the head off of Goliath?
And I'm with you on that. I agree with you. But do you think both systems are going to kind of run at the same time for a while, or do you think it's just going to be a cut and a shift?
I think right now, let me put it in this perspective.
Because I've heard different things. I've heard that both systems could coexist at the same time. A lot of people are going to get swallowed up by that, and a lot of people are going to go.
I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's possible because what you're talking about.
You're either pregnant or you're not pregnant, Nino. You're one or the other.
If you're going to,
you're either one or the other. You can't be both.
The example that you used earlier, Rob, is the best. All right, we're going to tear the building down. Right, we've got a structure, we've got a skyscraper that's going to be torn down, and then we're going to build a new one. Okay, so the one that's there now, when it comes down and it's torn up, and then we have to clean that area up. That is the part that we're coming into. That's the ugliness that is coming. Cleaning that up is going to take, who knows, 3, 6, 8 months, a year. I don't know, but that process is going to be the ugly time in history where we look back and that's going to be the hard part. But after that
6 months, then we're going to have 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50 years of building on top of the new. Okay. Right. Yeah, there's going to be an intense period of pain when you rip the Band-Aid off. And everybody's going to be scared, oh my God, what do I do? And then all of a sudden, just like you knock over an ant colony, all of a sudden the ants get right back to it. Next thing you know, they got the most elaborate ant colony you've ever seen. Because our nature is law and order and organization, and to put things in its proper perspective. Right now, we do have to get rid of the old. What's the old adage? You can't pour old wine into a new system. We're not going to put old currency notes and old admiralty laws and all myths and lies and crap into a brand new building. Would we tear down the Empire State Building and then put in 1950s furniture into a 2023 building? No, you don't put old wine into a new sack. We're not going to put old fiat currency into a new system of wealth and trust and transparency. You can't. It's oil and water. They're
incompatible. They're incompatible.
They're incompatible, right?
And that's what this whole thing is right now. That's what this entire situation is right now, is a fight for the new system. They're fighting for control of the new system because it has to come.
Let me say,
and here's why it can't come.
Let me say this. Let me say this. Okay, gold and silver buying physical gold and silver is wealth preservation right now. Okay, but and I absolutely believe that it is imperative that people buy as much gold and silver as they possibly can. Precious metals, not just gold and silver, palladium, platinum, all that, anything that is going to have tangible value in the future. That's important to have. However, that said, if putting a portion of your assets into the blockchain, into some of the ISO tokens, into blockchain infrastructure that is going to be very prevalent in the upcoming system, by investing into that, that is going to create wealth. The gold and the precious metals are going to preserve wealth, but the buying into the digital assets is going to create wealth.
What digital asset do you guys recommend buying into? XRP?
Well, I'm XRP heavy. XRP and
XRP, and you're XRP, and that's what I bought into.
But here's the thing, XRP, XLM, XDC, Algo, HBAR. There's about 7 ISO 20022.
Do you guys never? I never hear either of you talk about Bitcoin.
No, we don't. They're not. Look, the 80 to 85% of the nations that kind of have this BRICS-esque mentality. They're bringing sovereignty into their borders. the sovereignty of government and the sovereignty of their own money and their monetary systems. They're going bottom up and not top down. We've got 80 or 85% of the people that are basically bricks in their actions and bricks in their laws and bricks in their selling of their treasury bonds. They're de-dollarizing. They're getting out the SWIFT system. They're bringing sovereignty of every aspect into their borders. Okay. So we have 80 or 85% of these countries that are agreeing to operate on the new rules, the new ISO 20022 standards, and Bitcoin's not on it. It might be an asset and it might have some value, but it's not part of the architectural approved methodologies and the absolute look. CBDCs will never exist for one reason. Two reasons. They will never allow perfect transparency and they will never be held accountable. They're never going to let you audit their books. A CBDC is just more digital fiat with a bunch of crypto sounding words, but they're never, ever going to open the kimono and let you look at what they're doing 24/7. They'll never relinquish because they can't do what they do in the public's eye.
Got you.
It requires darkness.
If you look at listen to what David Schwartz said. David Schwartz talked about walled gardens. He said everybody thinks they need a walled garden until they realize they don't. And what he's talking about there is that that there are institutions out there who think that they need to have things that are not transparent until they understand that actually they don't need that. And the system that's coming is going to be a system that is transparent. But there are institutions out there right now who are still operating with an old mindset, who think that they need to keep things private. And when they realize that, oh, they're not going to necessarily need to keep things private, well, okay, then I guess we don't need the walled garden. And that was especially what he talked about when he was saying, you know, that. So, but I just challenge people: do not let this moment pass where you don't investigate some of these digital assets, especially the ISO tokens, because whether you realize it or not, there was a point in time when email didn't exist. There was a point in time when cell phones didn't exist, but now everybody has them. Everybody has an email address. Everybody has a cell phone. Okay. But so in the future that we're coming into, everybody's going to be using blockchain, and you have an opportunity to take a small portion of the money of the the assets that you have now and invest in that technology. And I'm going to say this not because I didn't do it, and I'm sad that I didn't, but I just want to make a point. In 2010, I had an opportunity. I made the decision I was going to buy $100 worth of Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I think, was less than a penny, right around a penny. That would have been 10,000 Bitcoin. Okay. If I would have been successful in making that transaction today, that Bitcoin or that $100 today would be worth somewhere in excess of $350 million.
Yes. Okay.
So my point is, do not, and let's talk about wealth creation, right? Now, do not just categorically reject digital assets because you think the internet is going to go down in perpetuity, or we're going to have an EMP and we're never going to have electricity ever again. Those are scare tactics. Those are things that are trying to get you to keep you in a state of fear and control.
And Ron, to that point, please hear me. I love everybody that's watching this video. I love everybody in every nation. Do not fall for this mark of the beast. Digital assets is crypto. I'm not going to touch that kind of stuff. It's exactly where they want you, in a state of fear, a state of ignorance, a state of rejecting the very thing, the kryptonite that can destroy them. So they've got to, the only thing you've heard, Nino, for 10 years on TV, that the gatekeepers, the BlackRock and the Vanguards that let through the mainstream news media is Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Why would they let these dogs run for 10 years unfettered and distill and conflate the entire digital asset ecosystem down to 2 coins if they believe those 2 digital assets would be the end of them? They wouldn't. They want us to think it's Bitcoin and Ethereum. We're finding out all of the problems with those two coins, and the ones that they know. Look, the enemy always tells you what they fear is because it's the one that they attack. It's the one that they go after. What have they been doing to XRP since 2020? What have they been
It's
doing?
one lawsuit after another.
Another after another, and they're all bogus. It's all they have been body slammed by the SEC, or, I mean by the justice system, by good lawyers. The SEC has been called a failure to have an allegiance to the law. Gary Gensler is an assigned economic hitman for a system that they fear most.
Amen to that.
People can understand that. If
I do.
Okay, then they would realize, look, XRP can help move all that gold that you're peddling and people are buying and selling and transfer it around this unified ledger the world over, because gold and silver are going to act as collateral behind value, not behind price.
Right.
The price of something, the chief technology officer of Ripple, David Schwartz, said, price in and of itself gives us this much value. It tells us nothing. It doesn't give us any information. You can tell me that hat you're wearing is worth $400 million. Doesn't make it true. It's just a price. The value is what the value of that hat is. It's not what somebody tells you it is. So price is one thing, and it gives you nothing. It's like I say this all the time. Content without context is just noise. Okay, you have to understand value is something that is intrinsic in the system, and then we're creating an internet of value, not an exchange of fiat lies. What we have right now is we're exchanging lies and myths and rules and admiralty laws, and everything goes through the filter, a New York Stock Exchange, a NASDAQ, a commodity exchange, a gold exchange, a brokerage house, and they're all controlled operations by the fiat control system. Okay, we're breaking that down, going into a trustless. The XRP ledger is a public domain held in public trust, owned not by a corporation and not by a nation, just like Linux software. It is an asset that the world owns, and anybody can operate on it, and anybody can build on top of it. It's like oxygen. We can all breathe oxygen. We can all work on the XRP ledger. Why is the office, the corporation, trying to make us hate something that's a public free good?
Let me make one final. I know Nino needs to go, so let me make one final thing. One final point. Nino, you said something earlier about, well, we never talk about Bitcoin and Ethereum. Well, the reason that we don't talk about Bitcoin and Ethereum, number one, Ethereum and the creation of Ethereum has recently been, one of the insiders there recently came out and said that Ethereum is literally 100 times more, the story of Ethereum is 100 times worse than what FTX was. 100 times worse than what FTX was. Okay. So I'm not saying that Ethereum isn't going to have a use case in the future, and I'm not saying that Bitcoin isn't going to survive and have a use case in the future, but nobody's driving around Model T cars. Nobody's driving Model T Fords. Well, Model T Fords were the first major car that was mass produced, right? Well, nobody's driving those around. Everybody's driving around, people are driving around a much better, more affordable things. Bitcoin is not scalable. It is not, you cannot do it in a mass situation because it's too slow. It's like trying to drive in Los Angeles rush hour traffic 24 hours a day. You're never going to get anywhere. All right. So, XRP, you can conduct, I think it was like 10,000 transactions in a second or something like that. So, XRP,
it's more efficient. I got it.
It's way more efficient. And so what I'm doing is, and what Rob is doing, we probably have, I don't know exactly what he has. I personally don't have any Bitcoin, but he may. It's like if you have some Bitcoin, it's not going to be worth zero. It's not going to be worth zero. But I'm putting my money into, and it's not financial advice, but I'm putting my money into the infrastructure of what's coming that is going to transfer
the new system. I got it.
Yeah.
Ron and David, let me tell you this. On my ex Twitter account at Cool Show, I just posted stats that just came out last week. 93% of high and ultra high net worth individuals in the Middle East, North Africa, Saudi Arabia region have been allocating 5 to 10% of their vast fortunes in digital assets for the last 3 to 4 years. These are princes, sheiks, billionaires. 93% of the people in the MENA area, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, all of that area that's fast growing. If you've ever looked at those cities, and low taxation, unbelievable prosperity, unbelievable intelligence and wealth, and the infrastructure of this whole XRP ledger, RippleNet, Ripple technology, digital asset, ISO 20022 adoption, that is going to make the banks irrelevant. Hear me now. The traditional banks are going to be irrelevant. They're going to be Model T cards. We're going to like that. Okay. And then we're going to have financial advisory institutions. But my point being is, sometimes if you, like, I think Ron, you said this yesterday, if you see 20,000 people with towels and hats and beach chairs going towards the beach, and you're wondering where the beach is, you probably ought to just follow that crowd, right? Instead of going off in some direction somewhere else, right? If you got these ultra high net worth billionaires putting 5 to 10% of their vast fortunes in systems that they're operating on right now, so they can free themselves from the Rothschild matrix of central bankers and central control and fiat money and NGOs with no accountability and no ability to have transparency, and they're going in a different direction, I'm following the chic billionaires. That's just me.
I agree. All right,
Amen.
gentlemen, that's it. I'm going to call a hard stop here. I got to get going. Ron
worries.
Partain, Untold History channel on Rumble, correct?
That's correct.
Rob Cunningham, Cool Show on Twitter, right? Cool.
And 𝗀𝗃.show is a website.
Cool.show.
𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗹𝗆.
And Nino, I do have to say one thing to you on this Veterans Day. Again, happy Veterans Day. Hats off. My dad, my grandfather, my uncle, every veteran that's out there, everybody on active duty. But the two words that really do matter a lot today are go dogs.
All
Bring
right.
on your Longhorns, Nino. Bring on the Longhorns.
Yeah, I'm bringing them on, baby. All right,
Nino,
guys.
Thanks for hosting us today.
I
man.
almost
It's
wore the
fun.
Longhorn shirt today. I didn't. But all right, guys. Love having you on. I'll try to premiere this tonight, so I got to send it off to editing right now.
Awesome.
Thank you,
man.
Nino.
Good to see you, brother.
Thank you, Ron.